راضية وأما من خفت موازينه فأمه هاوية وما أدراك ما هي نار حامية. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the merciful. The terrible calamity. What is the terrible calamity? And what will make you comprehend what the terrible calamity is? The day on which men shall be as scattered moths, and the mountains shall be as loosened wool. Then as for him whose measure of good deeds is heavy, he shall live a pleasant life. And as for him whose measure of good deeds is light, his abode shall be the abyss. And what will make you know what it is? A burning fire. Sadaqallahu al-Aliyyul Azim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Khushnudi Janab Sayyida Bulantar Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. Ghar laut ke ghar mein pehla diya kis terah jalaya Zainab ne ghar laut ke ghar mein pehla diya kis terah jalaya Zainab ne bas आह भरी और घुट घुट कर बस आह भरी और घुट घुट कर बेटों को पुकारा ज़ैनब ने घर लौट के घर में पहला दिया किस तरह जलाया ज़ैनब ने फिर कोई हुक उठी दिल से फिर शाम गरीब याद आई फिर कोई हुक उठी दिल से फिर शाम गरीब याद आई हुजरों में आनो मोहम्मद के देखा जो अंधेरा ज़ैनब ने घर लौट के घर में पहला दिया इस तरह जलाया ज़ैनब ने भाई की याद में जीते जी आँखों से बहा एक दरिया भाई की याद में जीते जी आँखों से बहाया एक مدفن ہے آل محمد کا، 9 میل پہ مدفن سیور کے مدفن ہے آل محمد کا، یوں صدقہ بھائی کے سے کعبے بیٹوں سے اتارا زینب نے، گھر لوٹ کے گھر میں پہلا دیا، کس نے ہے جلایا زینب نے، بس آہ بھری اور گھٹ گھٹ کے، بس آہ بھری اور گھٹ گھٹ کے بیٹوں کو پکارا زینب نے، کر لو صلوات۔
قید خانے میں سکینہ یہ بیان کرتی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، شمع منگوائیے ورنہ میں نہیں جینے کی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، اپنے سینے سے لگا لو میں تمہارے صدقے، گود میں لے لو مجھے، گود میں لے لو مجھے، ورنہ پچھتاؤگی زندہ نہ رہوں گی میں کبھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، آج کی شب کو بھی کیا بابا نہیں آئیں گے، مجھ کو تر پائیں گے، مجھ کو تر پائیں گے، ان کے سینے پہ اگر سوتی تو نیند آ جاتی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھپھی، بابا آ جاتے تو پھر شمر کو ہوتا معلوم، کون ہے یہ معصوم، کون ہے یہ معصوم، کیا سمجھ کر مجھے یہ انگر کیا دیتا ہے شکی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھوپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھوپھی، پانی لانے کو کہاں روٹ گئے مجھ سے چاچا، آپ ہی سوچے ذرا، آپ ہی سوچے ذرا، ہوتے امو تو میں اس طرح تماچے کھاتی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھوپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھوپھی، بعد میرے جو یہاں ہوئے پدر کا آنا، ان سے یہ فرمانا، ان سے یہ فرمانا، مر گئی گٹ کے اندھیرے میں تمہاری بیٹی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھوپھی، کیا اندھیرا ہے پھوپھی، صلوات
کربلا کی فضاؤں میں اب تک ایک دکھیاری ماں کی صدا ہے، کربلا کی فضاؤں میں اب تک ایک دکھیاری ماں کی صدا ہے، کربلا تیرے اس ہو کے بن میں لال میرا کہیں کھو گیا ہے، روٹ جائے گا جانی تو مجھ سے، ہوگی کیسے بسر زندگانی، کربلا کی فضاؤں میں اب تک ایک دکھیاری ماں کی صدا ہے، بر محمد وآل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین کفن بھی تو نے نہ پایا میرے حسین حسین پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین اسی لیے تجھے پالا تھا فاطمہ نے کیا پڑا ہے دھوپ میں لاشا میرے حسین حسین میرے غریب میرے فاقہ کش میرے پیارے میرے شہید تمنا میرے حسین حسین میں آئی ہوں تجھے رونے کو خود سے بیٹا مجھے دے اٹھ کے ذرا سا میرے حسین حسین بسی ہے شام کی بستی مدینہ ویراں ہے مزار میرا سونا ہے میرے حسین حسین پکاری لاش پہ زہرا میرے حسین حسین بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات ہاں دوستو کمی ہو اب شور و شین میں زینب بھی ہے عزائے شہ مشرقین میں پھٹ جائیں دل و درد سے دکھیا کے بین سے لو فاطمہ بھی آ گئی بزم حسین میں چہرے پہ خاک بال پریشاں کیے ہوئے گودی میں ایک ننھا سا لاشا لیے ہوئے گویا یہ کہہ رہی ہیں بطول فلق و مقام اے بے وطن کے تازیے دار تجھے سلام مطلب یہ ہے کہ آج مجلسیں ہوئی تمام رخصت طلب اہل عزا اور امام دل پر ہجوم ہے غم و رنج و ملال کا پرسا بطول پاک کو دو ان کے لال کا ہاں دوستو کمی بر محمد و آل محمد صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم
Before we start the majlis, I'm going to request everyone on this wall and this wall to come towards the middle and closer towards the minbar, please. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على إمام القبلتين ونبي الحرمين وأفضل الثقلين وجد الحسن والحسين الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين والذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على صاحب دعوة النبوية والصولة الحيدرية والإسمة الفاطمية والحلم الحسنية والشجاعة الحسينية والإبادة السجادية والمآثر الباقرية والآثار الجعفرية والعلوم الكاذمية والحجج الردبية والجود التكبية والنكابة النكبية والهيبة العسكرية والغيبة الإلهية اللهم عجل فرجه وسهل مخرجه أما بعد فقد قال الإمام زين العابدين عليه السلام لو مات ما بين المشرق والمغرب لما استوحشت بعد أن يكون القرآن معي صدق مولانا الإمام زين العابدين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. For the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the love of Fatima az-Zahra, salamullahi alayha, a second salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the hastening of the reappearance of the master of our time, a louder salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When one examines the system of divine guidance, they'll find that it has been the way of Allah, that when Allah would give a prophet a miracle, that miracle would be according towards the medium and the art of that time. For example, in the time period of Nabi Yusuf, the art form of that time was the interpretation of the dreams. So Yusuf was given an ability to do the ta'wil of the alham, do the ta'wil of the dreams, the likes of which no one had. In the time period of Musa, when you continue, you find in Musa's time the medium was magic. So what does Allah give Musa? Allah, He gives him what is called al-yadul bayda, the luminous hand, and He gives him the asa and the staff which turns into a snake. When you went farther to the time period of Isa, you find in the time of Isa, the art form of that time, the expertise of that time was medicine. So what does Allah give Isa? He gives him the ability to cure the leper, to heal the blind, to bring the dead back to life. Similarly, in the time period of Rasulullah, you find that there were two art forms of that time. There were two mediums of that time. The first thing the Arabs, they would pride themselves over is that they would pride themselves over their ability to fight with the sword. And the second thing they would pride themselves over is their Arabic and their rhetoric. Allah gave Rasulullah the reply to both of them. In terms of their sword, the reply was the wujud of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the reply towards the Arabic rhetoric was the Quran. That what is the reality of this Quran? You know, when you look at every single language, You find every language has two types of kalam, it has two types of speech. The first type of speech is another, what is called prose, which is straightforward speech and kalam. The second type of speech is another and poetry. That English, Urdu, Farsi, all of them, you find there are two categories. Either it is speech or it's poetry. But you find the uniqueness of the Quran is that neither was it nathar, neither was it nadam, neither was it prose, neither was it poetry. Arabic is the only language which has three categories. The first is nathar, the second is nadam, the third is Quran. That this Quran was so unique, that it had its own rhetoric category. That what is the power of the Quran? You know, it's stated when Surah Al-Kawthar was revealed, they placed Surah Al-Kawthar on the wall of the Kaaba. In that time period, there was a poet by the name of Shah. Sheen Ain. This Shah, year round he wouldn't speak. He would say that if I speak all the time, sometimes my speech will be fasih, that it'll be eloquent, and other times it won't be eloquent. So when this Shah, he would walk, without speaking, he would correct the poetry of other individuals. That they would bring their poetry towards them, he would use his pen and correct it. And once a year, he would speak at this gathering where everyone would present their poetry. Now when Surah Al-Kawthar was placed on the wall of the Kaaba, no one had a reply towards the eloquence of Surah Al-Kawthar. So they said, we'll take Surah Al-Kawthar towards Shah. This Shah, every time we bring him poetry, he writes something better. Let's see what he says about Surah Al-Kawthar. They take Surah Al-Kawthar towards Shah. When he looks at Surah Al-Kawthar, he looks at it once. He looks at it twice. He takes his pen, he wants to write. That Shah who wouldn't speak all year, he read the lines. He said, Inna a'tayna kal kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar. Inna shaniyaka huwal abtar. After that, Shah, he writes, Ma hada min kalam al-bashar, bal huwa fawka min kalam al-bashar. He says, this is not the words of a human being, but rather it is more elevated than the words of the human beings. That this is the reality of the Quran. And if you want to understand the power of the Quran, the significance of the Quran, the importance of the Quran, you find there is a tradition of our fourth Imam, Imam Zainul Abidin, which I recited at the beginning of this majlis. That tradition, Sallu ala Muhammad wa alayhi. That tradition, it states, Lo mata ma bain al-mashriqi wal-maghrib, lama istawhashtu ba'da an yakun al-Qur'an ma'i. You know what the Imam says? The Imam says that if everything from the east to the west perished, that it passed away, that it was no more, that there was nothing upon this earth from the east to the west. It says, Lo mata ma bain al-mashriq. In Arabic, this ma, it includes that which is irrational, meaning nothing existed. The Imam, he says, I would not feel any fear or loneliness if I had the Quran with me. That Imam Zainul Abidin, he says, that all I need is the Quran. Even if nothing was there, there would be no shortcomings in my life if I had the Quran with me. The question comes up, is that why don't we have this relationship with the Quran? Why is it that we haven't recognized the reality of the Quran? You know, you and I, we often say that if we were there in the time period of the Anbiya, we would have seen their miracles, we would have believed in them. But you know, the miracle of every other prophet is limited. The miracle of Rasulullah has no limitations. In what sense? In the sense that when you want to see the luminous hand of Musa and the staff which turns into a snake, or you want to see Isa bring the dead back to life, you have to be in a particular place and time, otherwise you can't see it. You have to be in a particular zaman, in a particular makan. But you find the guidance of Rasulullah is until the day of judgment. Doesn't the hadith say, Halalu Muhammadin halal ila yawm al-qiyamah? Wa haramuhu haram ila yawm al-qiyamah? That what Muhammad is allowed is permissible until the day of judgment, and what he's prohibited is prohibited until the day of judgment. So this goes to show that the guidance of the Prophet is until the day of judgment. And the reality of the miracle of the Prophet is that it is a living miracle. That each of us within our homes, we have a miracle. That miracle, it sits on the shelf. Its name is the Quran. So I said this question, and I raised the question, that why is it that we don't feel this attachment with the Quran that Imam Zainul Abidin feels? Why is it that despite having the Quran, we feel loneliness, and we feel sadness, and we have anxieties, and we don't have solutions? You know, at one level, it's because we haven't understood the true reality of the Quran. This Quran in front of us, it may look like 6,600 and some odd verses, but the reality of the Quran is this, is that everything which was inscribed upon the celestial tablet, the Lawh Mahfuz, is within the Quran. In the way you have a funnel from the Lawh Mahfuz towards the Quran, all of those realities are contained within these 6,600 verses. Imam Muhammad al-Baqir salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi, Imam al-Baqir would say that the Quran has a dhahir and a batin. It has an outward and it has an inward. And that inward has an inward. To the extent that there are 70 inward realities towards the Quran. He says that with us Ahlul Bayt is the Dhahir, with us Ahlul Bayt is the Batin. That with us Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, the external realities of the Quran are there and the internal realities of the Quran are there. And this is why if you want to understand the true essence of the Quran, you go towards the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. And one of the most fundamentally important sources in understanding the reality of the Quran is dua number 42 from As-Sahifa As-Sajjadiyah. You find this dua from Sahifa As-Sajjadiyah. This is that dua which Imam Zainul Abidin would recite upon the completion of the Quran. But when you look at this dua, you find it is an entire university into the nature and the true reality of the Quran. You see, to understand Imam Zainul Abidin, you have to understand the time period of the Imam. The Imam after Karbala, you find the Umayyad regime, they would be extremely vigilant of the actions of the Imam. The Imam, he would want to give sermons and khutbahs in the way his grandfather Ali ibn Abi Talib would give. But you find the circumstances historically, they didn't allow that. So the Imam would spread the teachings of Islam in an occult, in a covered manner. You know, the first manner out of the three in which the Imam would spread the teachings of Islam is that the Imam would buy slaves, he would train them, and he would free them. It's stated that after Amir al-Mu'mineen, no Imam freed more slaves than Imam Zainul Abidin. And after the tarbiyah and the guidance the Imam would give, you would find that these servants were the leaders of society. You know, people, they ask the question, why did Ahlul Bayt have servants? That why was Qambar in the house of Ali ibn Abi Talib? You find that Amir al-Mu'mineen, he freed Qambar. These slaves, oftentimes they were freed, but out of their own free will, they would say there is no better place to live than the house of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. You know, I remember that incident. One day, Qambar was leading a caravan of camels. A person comes up to Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says, "Oh master, can you give us some bread?" The Imam says, "Qambar, give this man bread." Qambar, he looks at Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, "Oh Mawla, oh Master, I don't know which camel has the bread." The Imam says, then just give the entire camel if you don't know which one specifically has the bread. Then he says, oh master, there's another problem. There are many camels over here. I can't find that camel. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, oh Qambar, give the entire caravan towards that man. At that point, Qambar, he jumps away. He lets go of the reins of the camel. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, oh Qambar, why did you do that? Qambar, he replies by saying, oh master, your generosity was at such a level right now, I was afraid that even you would even give me away towards that man. The Imam says, Qambar, what is wrong with that? Qambar, he says, oh master, you can find 1,000 servants like me, but I can't find one master like you, O Ali ibn Abi Talib. You find this is the reality when there were servants in the house of the Imams. And Imam Zainul Abidin would train them and he would free them. You know, it's stated after Waqiyatul Hurra, when Yazid, he went and he pillaged through Medina. It's stated that the rain, it wouldn't fall in the land of Medina. So the inhabitants of Medina, they gathered to read Salatul Istisqa. Salatul Istisqa was that prayer where you would seek Allah to bring rain upon the town. You find they're praying, and they're praying, the rain, it doesn't come. At that point, the narrator says, I saw an African individual. He came towards the mosque. As he was sitting in the back, he raised his hand. The moment he raised his hand, the rain, it began to fall. I began to think, who is this individual? So I followed him through the streets of Medina. I ended up at the house of Imam Zainul Abidin. When I went towards the house of the Imam, I said to him that, Ya Yabna Rasulullah, I want to buy one of your servants. The Imam, he brings out the servants. He says, no, the one I want to buy isn't here. The Imam, he calls that same servant. He goes towards that man. The moment he is leaving the door, he says, oh Allah, I am the one who prayed towards you, that as long as I was alive, I want to spend my life in the service of Zainul Abidin. If I can't have this life, then take my life away. It's stated at that moment he falls upon the ground. You see, the Imams, they would elevate people to the status that the servants of the Imams were mustajabud da'wat, that the servants of the Imams, their du'as were accepted. Then what must be the status of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt? So you find this is the first manner in which the Imam would spread the message of Ahlul Bayt. The second occult mean the Imam would use is that he would spread the message through the azadari of his father Sayyid al-Shuhada. You know, it's stated that for 35 years Imam Zainul Abidin would cry. When they would place water in front of the Imam, he would cry. When he would see a butcher, he would say towards that butcher, did you give this animal water? Did you sharpen the sword? Did you make sure no other animals were there? When the butcher would reply by saying, we are Muslim, it's in the Sharia to give water. It's in the Sharia to sharpen the sword. It's in the Sharia to make sure no other animals are there. The Imam would say, my father wasn't given water. When they cut the neck of my father, they didn't sharpen the sword. At 70 paces, my aunt Zainab would watch as Shimar would sit on the chest of my father. Now, why would the Imam cry in this manner? Is it because the Imam was na'udhu billah, weak-hearted? No, this isn't the reality. The reality is this, is that when the Imam would cry, people, they would ask the Imam why he's crying, and at that moment he would give the message of his father Sayyid al-Shuhada. When we have the azab Sayyid al-Shuhada, it is not just a reactionary crying, but through this matam and martiya and majalis, you find the entire message is spread to humanity. This is that reality. The third means, as I said, the Imam, he would spread the teaching, is through the du'as. You know, I said the Imam, he would wanted to give sermons. But in that time period, he wasn't able to give them because of the surveillance. So the Imam would have these du'as, because you won't stop a person from reciting dua. But in reality, each of these supplications was a university on its own. You know, even when you go to the Vatican today, there is a copy of As-Sahifa As-Sajjadiyya within the Vatican. And there is an official press release from the Vatican which says that we keep this book in the most special of sections. For it belongs to the best of researchers. For the theological and the mystical themes found within this book are only for those who are specialized within their field. And you find this is the reality of As-Sahifa As-Sajjadiyya. And this is that reality of the dua number 42, which explains the reality of the Quran. You know, before I came towards this dua, it was important for us to understand the time of the Imam to appreciate the value of this dua. Now I told you the topic for this night is examining the nature of the Quran through the dua of Imam Zainul Abidin. Now what does the Imam say about the Quran? You know, in the first line of this dua, the Imam, he says, Allahumma innaka a'antani ala khatmi kitabika alladhi anzaltahu nuran. You know what the Imam says? He says, Oh Allah, you helped me finish this book which you revealed as a nur and as a light. The first khususiyat and the first quality and property of the Quran which the Imam mentions is that the reality and the nature of the Quran is that the Quran is a nur and a light. You know, immediately you'll ask the question, that what type of light is this? That when we sit in this room and we have these light bulbs, that is a light as well. You find in philosophy, we say there are two types of lights. One is a nurul maddi, physical light. When you have the sun, when you have a lamp, you find this is physical light. What does physical light do? It allows you to see the apparent of something. The moment there is darkness in a room and you can't see the object, you turn on the light, you're able to see the object. But you find there is a second type of light. That light is an-nurul mujarrad anil madda. That light is immaterial light. Through this light, through physical light, you can see the apparent of things. Through immaterial light, you can see the reality of things. You know, there's a person who came towards Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi. He says, Oh Imam as-Sadiq, his name was Unwan al-Basri. He says, Oh Imam as-Sadiq, give me from your knowledge. The Imam looks at him, he says, Oh Unwan, Ya Aba Abdullah. His title was Aba Abdullah. He says, لَيْسَ الْعِلْمُ بِالتَّعَلُّمِ إِنَّمَا هُوَ نُورٌ يَقَعُ فِي قَلْبِ مَنْ يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ تَبَارَكَ وَتَعَالَى أَنْ يَهْدِيَهُ. He says, Oh Unwan, knowledge isn't gained by learning. It is a light and a nur which Allah, He places in the heart of the one whom He wants to guide. You know, you'll ask the question that why does the Imam say knowledge isn't gained by learning? After all, what is the point of universities and madaris and the hawza, and why are you listening to this lecture if knowledge isn't gained by learning? You find there are two types of causes. One is an incomplete cause, al-illatun naqisa. The second type of cause is a complete cause, al-illatut tamma. When you have a complete cause, you find the effect necessarily comes from the source every time. For example, when you have the sun, every time you will find the rays coming from the sun. But when you have an incomplete cause, maybe the athar and the impact and the effect will be there, maybe it won't be there. The reality of learning is that it is an incomplete cause. Many of us, we learn, but we don't learn the correct information. We learn, but we're not able to retain it. We learn, but we're not able to internalize and practice upon it. True knowledge is a nur through which Allah, He guides the heart of a person. No, I'll give you another tradition which talks about the guidance of the hearts. The tradition of the sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. The tradition of the Imam, it states, Man aradallahu bihil khayra. When Allah, He desires khair and good for someone, قَذَفَ فِي قَلْبِهِ حُبَّ الْحُسَيْنِ وَحُبَّ زِيَارَتِهِ. That when Allah, He desires good for someone, He does two things for that individual. He places in his heart the love of Hussein and the love of the ziyarah of Hussein. Now the question comes up, are these two traditions contradictory? Is there tadad? Is there discrepancies between them? On one side, Allah, He places the nur of ilm in the heart. The other side, the love of Hussein and the love of the ziyarah of Hussein. You find both of them are the same reality, referring towards the ma'rifat of Allah. That the love of Hussein, the light of true knowledge which allows you to see the haqaiq and the realities, you find both of them, they lead towards Allah. And you find it is this Quran which is a nur, which allows you to uncover the daily realities and to understand them. You know, people, they ask this question, that why does the Quran mention these Anbiya? That what do we have with Hud and Saleh? What relationship do we have with them? That when you look at the people of Ad, who Nabi Hud was sent to, you'll say, okay, it's a great story that they built houses upon the mountains and they were destroyed. But what does that have to do with us? You find the Quran, it says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ أَقْفَالُهَا. That do they not ponder over the Quran, or is there a seal upon their heart? You know, when you look at each of these stories, you find they have a relevance to the guidance of mankind because they themselves are nur and light. You know, if I rephrase the story of Hud in a different manner based on reflection, and I said this is the story about a group of people that despite the technological advancements of their time, there was an overall moral decay in society. Now all of a sudden, you'll say this story, it relates to us in the 21st century. The Quran is there for the guidance of man. The Quran is a nur and a light. You know, in the same reality is there with Ahlul Bayt. That's why in Ziyaratul Jamia, when we speak about Ahlul Bayt, we say, وَكَلَامُهُمْ نُور, that their words are a light which uncover realities. You know, a person came towards Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi. That lady, she says, oh Abbas al-Qummi, my child is sick. Can you give me a dua? You know what Sheikh Abbas al-Qummi does? He says, bring me a glass of water. She brings a glass of water. He takes his finger. He places it within the water. He says, take this water, give it to your son. She thinks, what did this man do? She takes that water, gives it to the son is cured. She comes back to Abbas al-Qummi. She says, what did you recite? I need to know that dua. For the moment my son drank that water, he was cured. He said, I didn't recite anything. She says, what do you mean you didn't recite anything? He says, all I did was I put my finger in this water. She says, why did you do that? He says, because with this finger I've written thousands of the hadith of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Do you think Allah won't give shafa towards my hands as well because I've written the kalam of Ahlul Bayt? You find if their kalam wasn't a nur and a light, it wouldn't have this reality. So this is the first lesson which we learn from the dua of Imam Zainul Abidin. The second property of the Quran that we learn from this dua of the Imam is that the Imam says, أَنزَلْتَهُ وَفَضَّلْتَهُ عَلَىٰ كُلِّ حَدِيثٍ قَصَصْتَ. That, oh Allah, you sent this Quran and you gave it preference and priority over every other discourse. The second quality of the Quran implicitly alluded to within this dua is the reality of the Quran as a book of hidayah and guidance. You know, the Quran has science and the Quran has history. But the reality of the Quran is that it is not a book of science, it is not a book of history, it is a book of hidayah and guidance. And what type of book of guidance is this? This Quran itself, it speaks, it says, وَلَا رَتْبٍ وَلَا يَعْبِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. You know what the Quran it says? It says there is nothing wet, nor is there anything dry, except it's in this Quran. That every reality is in this Quran. Now you'll turn around, you'll say to me, that is how to program my iPhone within the Quran. Is how to drive a car within the Quran. Is how to interact with my patients when I go to my medical practice within the Quran. Then why does the Quran say وَلَا رَتْبٍ وَلَا يَعْبِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ? You know, I'll give you an example I'll give you the answer through an example. When you place an X-ray in front of a person who is not a radiologist, who isn't trained to analyze the X-ray, all of the information is upon that X-ray. But he is not able to diagnose where the broken bone is, where the bruise is, where everything is. Why? Because he does not have the training and the qualifications. Now you take that same X-ray, you place it in front of a radiologist. The X-ray, it didn't change. Both of them are looking at the same thing. But one of them has the qualifications. So he is able to derive all of the illnesses and the problems within the X-ray. The reality is this, is that this book is a nur, this book is a guidance, this book is ma'soom and infallible. For someone to derive all of the realities of this book, he must be rasikhuna fil ilm. He must be grounded in knowledge. He himself must be ma'soom and infallible. For the principles of every discourse are in this book. That didn't Ali ibn Abi Talib say as he was upon the mimbar? That saluni qabla an tafkiduni inni a'rafu bi turuq as-sama'i min turuq al-ardi. That the Imam says, ask me before you lose me. For I am more aware of the path of the heavens than the path of the earth. Then in one tradition, the Imam didn't say saluni one time in his life. He said it multiple times. One of the times the Imam said this, he says, ask me about the Quran. There was not a verse which was revealed in Makkah or outside of Makkah except I know about that verse. There was not a verse which was revealed at home or in safar and travel except I know about that verse. There is not a verse which was nasikh or mansukh except I know about that verse. This is that reality which Amir al-Mu'mineen shows about the Quran. For the Imam is the speaking Quran and all of the knowledge of the Quran is within Ahlul Bayt. That when you look at the life of Ahlul Bayt, in the way people, they challenge the Quran, they challenge the ulum of Ahlul Bayt. You know, I remember a man, he comes up to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He says, Ya Ali, what will I eat for dinner tonight? He thought to himself, if the Imam gives the answer, I'll eat something else and it'll show his knowledge isn't at the level which they think it's at. The Imam says, you'll eat rice pudding upon this night. You'll eat kheer upon this night, for a term that's more familiar with all of you. So he goes towards his wife. He goes to his home. He says, I'm hungry. Is there anything for dinner? His wife says, yes, there is. He says, what is there? She says, there's rice pudding for dinner. He begins to think to himself, what is this Ali ibn Abi Talib? So he leaves the house. He goes to his neighbor. He says, listen, I'm your neighbor. A neighbor is supposed to support a neighbor. I haven't had dinner yet. Do you have something in your house? He says, please be my guest. I have rice pudding in my house. He begins to think to himself again that what is this Ali? Then after that, he saw a hamla, a caravan coming from out of town. He goes to them. He says that, can you give me something? I am hungry. They said, yes, we have much food. He says, what do you have? They say, we have rice pudding. He says that Ali ibn Abi Talib, the moment he says something, it happens. He gets tired, he ends up eating that food. You find this is the reality of the ilm of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. That in the way the Quran, it guides Ahlul Bayt, they guide. Now the third quality of the Quran found in this dua is that line where it states that this Quran is shifa'an liman ansata bifahm tasdeeq ila istima'ihi. That this Quran is a mercy and a cure for those who listen towards it with attention. Within this line, there is no restriction of being a Muslim. There is no restriction of being a Shia. This dua shows the next property of the Quran found in the dua of Imam Zainul Abidin. And that property is the universality of the Quran. You know, I say this with full responsibility after looking at the Bible and the Torah and the Gita, that there is no other book which addresses all of humanity by saying, Ya ayyuhan nas, except the Quran. No other book addresses all of humanity in its totality except for the Quran. It goes to show that the message of the Quran, even though those who accept Islam are called Muslims, but Islam wasn't sent only for Muslims, it was sent for humanity. In the way there is an illness and a doctor, he doesn't say that I am only curing these types of people. When he gives a cure, that cure can benefit everyone. You find the reality of the Quran. It benefits everyone at different levels. Of course, those who accept Islam will derive more realities from the Quran. But this guidance is not mahdood and limited. In the same way, you find the guidance of Ahlul Bayt is not mahdood and limited towards the time and place. You know, you look at this event of Karbala. There are many non-Muslims who would write about Karbala. That, you know, I remember they asked a famous scholar of the subcontinent, Shah Ahmad Nurani. You know, Shah Ahmad Nurani was not a Shia scholar. So they go up to him after he was reciting the Fadail of Ahlul Bayt. They said to him, oh man, are you Shia or are you Sunni? Imagine asking one of the greatest Sunni scholars, are you Shia or are you Sunni? He replied in an interesting manner. He says, if you want to know my deen, it begins after Karbala. Because after Karbala, either you are on the side of Hussein or you are on the side of Yazid. And I have the pleasure to say that I try to be upon the side of Hussein. This is the universality of Imam al-Hussein. Why? Because the Imam would follow the Quranic message. You know, there was a Sikh guru. He was speaking to a student. He said to his student, go and learn about Hussein. The student says, Hussein was a Muslim. What do I have to do with them? The teacher looks at him. He says, would you marry your sister? He says, no, I wouldn't do that. He says, why wouldn't you marry your sister? He says, it's a disgusting thought. My conscience, it doesn't allow me to do that. He says, what you call a conscience, I call that Hussein. That this is that message. You know, people, they ask, that how is it a book from 1400 years ago impacts the humans of today? A book which was revealed in Arabia impacts the humans of the West. You know, the answer is in the Ishkal. When you say this line, that how does it impact the humans of today? Philosophically, you are saying that impacts the humans. There is something within the nature of insan, that whether he is in the East or the West, whether 1400 years ago or today, he remains an insan. And it is that aspect of being an insan which Ahlul Bayt relate to. It is that aspect of being an insan which the Quran it relates to. You find this was the third property. And the fourth property of the Quran which I conclude upon. In this dua, the Imam, he says, Allahumma fakama ja'alta qulubana hamlatan. that, oh Allah, you made our hearts the receptacle and the carrying tool of the Quran. The Quran is carried in the hearts of a person. You know, there is a divine presence and a tajalli found within the Quran. When you translate the Quran, you are only translating a meaning, and that is a limited meaning. But you find you cannot translate the spirit and the presence of the Quran found in Arabic. That what is the spirit of the Quran? You know, take a regular sheet of paper. You can touch this paper, you can throw it away. But the moment you write the Quran upon that paper, when you touch it, you have to have wudu, you can't throw that paper away. Why? Because that ink which writes the Quran, that ink, it becomes sacred. The paper, it becomes sacred. When you're sitting in a room, you find there are sound waves within that room. But the moment the Quran is recited, you find those sound waves, they have barakah and blessing. That's why the Quran, it says, وَإِذَا قُرِيَ الْقُرْآنِ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ. When the Quran is recited, pay attention towards this Quran. You know, if you want to understand the power of this Quran, I'll end on this one hadith, because this one hadith, it summarizes the relationship of Imam Zainul Abidin, whose dua is this, with the Quran. You know what that hadith it says? It says oftentimes, when Imam Zainul Abidin was reciting the Quran, and people, they would listen to the recitation of the Imam, they would fall unconscious from listening to the recitation of Imam Zainul Abidin. The hadith found in Al-Kafi, Usul Al-Kafi, in the Bab of the Fawaid of the Quran, it uses the exact words, Sa'ika min husni sawtihi, that they would go in towards a swoon of unconsciousness. That in Farsi and Urdu you use the word gush, would come upon them from the recitation of this Quran. You know, why does this happen? Is it because aesthetically the voice of the Imam is beautiful, or is there another reality to this? Without a doubt, the Imam is the inheritor of Dawood, and there was beauty in his voice. But you find, to understand this word sa'iqa, you find there is one place in the Quran where this word is used. And it goes to show the reality of the Quran and the reality of the recitation of the Imam. And you know what that verse is? That verse is when Musa was on Tur Sinin upon Mount Sinai, and he was speaking to Allah. The words, it says, وَلَمَّا جَاءَ مُوسَى لِمِيقَاتِنَا وَكَلَّمَهُ رَبُّهُ قَالَ رَبِّي آرِنِي أُنظُرْ إِلَيْكَ. When Musa, he came to us for our covenant, and his Lord, he spoke to him. Musa said, oh my Lord, show me yourself. I want to see you. Allah says, قَالَ لَن تَرَانِي. Musa, you'll never be able to see me. وَلَكِنْ انظُرْ إِلَى الْجَبَلِ. But O Musa, what you can do is look towards the mountain. فَإِنِ اسْتَقَرَّ مَكَانَهُ فَسَوْفَ تَرَانِي. If this mountain, it remains in its place, then Musa, you'll see me. Then the Quran, it says, فَلَمَّا تَجَلَّ رَبُّهُ. When his Lord manifested himself towards the mountain, جَعَلَهُ دَقًّا. The mountain, it broke into pieces. وَخَرَّ مُوسَى صَائِقًا. The same word sa'iqa, that Musa, he went into a swoon of unconsciousness. And this verse, it goes to show the reason this ghush, it came over Musa, is because that there was a tajalli upon the mountain. The reason that this ghush and unconsciousness would come over the people when they would listen to the recitation of Imam Zainul Abidin is because there is a divine tajalli found within the Quran when Al-Insanul Kamil, the perfect man, recites the Quran. And this is the reality of the Quran in the eyes of Imam Zainul Abidin. Which Imam Zainul Abidin is this? You know, I'll request you to close the lights, that these are the final days of Musibah in this season of mourning. That what is this Imam? Tonight I wanted to recite Musibah in length. Tonight I'm not holding back any of the masaib. Tonight no tears will be held back. That which Imam Zainul Abidin is this? You know, a companion. He comes to the Imam, he says to him, "O Mawla, how long will you mourn after Karbala? Isn't shahadat your miras? Isn't it your inheritance?" The Imam says, "Yes, shahadat is our miras, shahadat is our inheritance." But he says, "O minhal, is our women being taken from city to city without their hijabs our inheritance as well, O minhal?" Then he says, "O minhal," he says, "what can I tell you about those difficulties in Asham, Asham, Asham?" You know, when this caravan was leaving Sham, Imam Zainul Abidin, he says, "O Yazid, we have 3 conditions. The first condition is that you give us a house where we can mourn and we can weep. Because the women of Ali Muhammad haven't been given the chance to do buqa over Hussein at this moment." He says the second condition is that the heads of the shuhada, you return those heads. He says the third condition is all of those tabarrukat, you return those tabarrukat. You know, when they get towards that house, all of the items, they begin to come back. You know, the first thing which came back was an alam. It was a flag. Sayyidah Zainab, she says, "That is the alam of my brother Abbas. We want to cry underneath this flag." You know, after that, a ring, it came back. They said, "Oh Zainab, which is this ring?" You know, there was a man by the name of Bajdal. Bajdal says on the day of Ashura that after Hussein was on the ground, somebody would take the shirt of Hussein, somebody would take the amama of Hussein, but on the hand of Hussein I saw a ring. I tried to take that ring off the hand of Hussein. The ring, it wouldn't come out. So at that moment, I took my sword. I cut the finger of Hussein. This is that ring. You find after that, there were 2 earrings which were returned. When those earrings, they came, all of the women, they looked towards Rabab. The one who would wear these earrings is in that prison in Sham. You find after that, there was a shirt, a kurta. Sayyidah Zainab, she says, "That is the shirt of my brother Hussein. This is that shirt that my mother Fatima, she would sew that shirt. As she was sewing that shirt, she would say, 'Wa Husaina, wa madluma, wa ghariba, wa..." You find after that, the heads of the shuhada was returned. Kulthum would take the head of Abbas. Layla would take the head of Ali Akbar. Farwa would take the head of Qasim. But there were 2 heads that the women of Sham would say, "Has their mother passed away?" Fidda says, "No, their mother hasn't passed away, but their mother is only mourning for her brother Hussein." You know which heads they were? They were the heads of On and Muhammad. Fidda says, "Oh Sayyidah, oh Zainab, why don't you take these heads?" You know what Sayyidah Zainab, she says? She says, "Oh Fizza, we are from the house of Ahlul Bayt, oh Fizza." She says, "Oh Fizza, when we give sadaqah, we don't take it back, oh Fidda." You find they leave Sham. They go towards Karbala. But one of the most difficult moments was when Ahlul Bayt returned towards Medina. You know, Imam Zainul Abidin, he didn't immediately enter Medina. They settled on the outskirts of Medina. The Imam, he says, "Oh Bashir, your father used to recite poetry. Do you also recite poetry?" Bashir says, "Yes, I do." The Imam says, "Oh Bashir, tell the people of Medina what has happened." You know what Bashir, he says, Ala ya ahla yatrib la muqama lakum biha, qutil al-Husayn fa'ajmui midraru. He says, oh people of Yatrib, you know Bashir doesn't say Medina. Why does Bashir not say Medina? You know, before Rasulullah it was called Yatrib. After Rasulullah it was called Medina. Bashir is saying that after Hussein, don't call it Medina anymore. Call it Yatrib, for Hussein has been killed. You know, when this call was made, Muhammad al-Hanafiya, he goes towards the caravan. He goes to Imam Zainul Abidin. He says, oh man, where is Hussein? Imam Zainul Abidin, he says, oh oh chacha, oh uncle, Hussein was killed thirsty. He says, where is Abbas? He says, oh chacha, the arms of my uncle Abbas were cut. You know what Muhammad al-Hanafiya, he says, oh man, why do you call me uncle? Why do you call me chacha? Imam Zainul Abidin, he says, that do you not recognize me, oh Muhammad al-Hanafiya? He says, oh Sajjad, you are only a young man. Your hair has become white. Your back has become bent. Sajjad, what has happened to you? The Imam says, oh chacha, Asham, Asham, Asham. You find after that, there was a girl. That girl would wait for her father. You know, Ayatullah Ni'matullah al-Jazairi would say that when this caravan went towards Karbala, that girl would go towards the grave of Rasulullah. She would pray at that grave. You know who that was? That was the daughter of the Imam Fatimatul Sughra. I don't know what Sughra would pray for at the grave of Rasulullah. But one alim would say that maybe she would make this dua that, oh Allah, when my brother Ali Akbar gets married, allow my father. You find Sughra, she goes towards that caravan. She notices all the women. She goes towards Sayyidah Zainab. Sayyidah Zainab, she holds Sughra towards her chest. Sughra says, where is my father Hussein? Zainab says, your father is no more. She says, where is my brother Ali Akbar? She says, Akbar is no more. She asks about all of the shuhada. But after that, Sughra, she begins to look in the laps of the women. She goes to Kulthum. She goes to Layla. She goes to Rabab. It's as if Sughra was looking for something. Sayyidah Zainab, she says, oh Sughra, what are you looking for? Sughra says, oh my aunt, where is my brother Ali Asghar? Sayyidah Zainab says, oh Sughra, a time came on the day of Ashura. Your father was asking for water. Instead of water, there was a tir. There was an arrow in the neck of Asghar. After that, Sayyidah Zainab, she goes towards the grave of Rasulullah. She says, oh Rasulullah, we have returned towards Medina. After that, Sayyidah Zainab, she says a line. She says, oh my grandfather, if there weren't non-mahram over here, I would show you the marks upon my arms when they would whip me. After that, she goes to the grave of her mother Fatima. She says, oh my mother, it is the way of the Arabs. When they go upon a safar, they bring something back. She takes the shirt of Hussein. She puts it on the grave of Fatima to Zahra. You know, some hadith, they say, at that moment, the grave of Zahra, it begins to move at that moment. The grave, it begins to shake at that moment. Sayyidah Zainab, she says, oh mother, you can't handle the shirt of Hussein. Oh mother, I would watch. Shimar would be jalisun ala sadr al-Hussein. After that, Sayyidah Zainab, she goes towards her home. Abdullah looks at Zainab. He says, oh Zaifa, oh lady, Zainab isn't here. Sayyidah Zainab says, oh Abdullah, do you not recognize? You find after that, Sayyidah Zainab, she goes to that room where her aunt and Muhammad would be there. She sees the musalla of aunt, she sees the musalla of Muhammad. It's at that moment the heart of a mother, it breaks. She says, oh my children, forgive your mother Zainab. She had promised her mother Fatima that as long as she was alive, she would only cry for her brother. Ala la'natullah lil qawm al-dhalimeen. Matam Hussain.
ماتم شبیر ماتم شبیر ماتم شبیر مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں یہ ماتم پہچان ہماری اس پہ جان قربان ہماری جس میں یہی ہے جان ہماری یہ ماتم ہے شان ہماری کہتا ہے ایمان ہمارا سارے جوانوں پیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں مل کے سب شبیر کریں یہ ماتم مظلوم کا ماتم زہرا کے معصوم کا ماتم پانی سے محروم کا ماتم تیغ تلے ہلکوم کا ماتم اس ماتم سے ہم جو چاہیں وقت کو زنجیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں عابد کے زنجیر کا ماتم خشک گلے اور تیر کا ماتم زینب کا شبیر کا ماتم دل سے کرے دل گیر کا ماتم جو ماتم زینب نے کیا تھا ہم اس کی تفسیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں اصغر تیری پیاس کا ماتم اکبر کا باس کا ماتم حسرت اور یاس کا ماتم حاصل ہے احساس کا ماتم راکھ زمانہ ہم کو روکے ہم اس کی تشہیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں مل کے سب ماتم شبیر کریں یا حسین یا حسین
واہ حسینا 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 واہ چل گئی تم پر چھری دشت بیابان میں لاش کو روندا گیا گوروں سے میں دان میں دل پہ چلا ہے میرے دل پہ چلا ہے دل پہ چلا ہے میرے دل پہ دل پہ چلا ہے میرے تجھ پہ جو خنجر چلا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا چل گئی تم پر چھری دشت بیابان میں لاش کو روندا گیا گوروں سے میدان میں دل پہ چلا ہے میرے دل پہ دل پہ چلا ہے میرے چلا دل پہ چلا ہے میرے تجھ پہ جو خنجر واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ رہ گئی تنہا بہن غم اٹھانے کے لیے اب تمہاری یاد میں آنسو بہانے کے لیے دل میرا بے تاب ہے دل میرا بے تاب ہے دل میرا بے تاب ہے کب سے سینہ ہے پھٹا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا خاک پہ سوتی ہے وہ سینے پہ سوتی تھی جو ڈھونڈتی ہے جا بجا اس کی نظر آپ کو بالی سکینہ تمہیں بالی بالی سکینہ تمہیں بالی سکینہ تمہیں دیتی ہے رو رو صدا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا کیا ماں کا ارمان تھا جس کو وہ اکبر کہا سو گیا میدان میں سینے پہ کھا کے سنا کھا گئی کسی کی نظر کھا گئی ہے کھا گئی کسی کی نظر کھا گئی کس کی نظر کرتی ہے لیلا بکا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا واہ حسینا لوٹا کے آئے ہیں زہرا کے ہم گھرانے کو نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو لوٹا کے آئے ہیں زہرا کے ہم گھرانے کو نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے بتائیں
جائیں کیسے جو ہم پر گزر گیا محشر. سر حسین تڑپتا خانوں کے نیزہ پر. ہر ایک شہر میں مارے گئے ہمیں پتھر. ہمارے چہروں کی جانب تھی شامیوں کی نظر. نہ ہاتھ بھی تھے یہ آزاد منہ چھپانے کو. نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو. نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو. بچھڑ کے اپنی بہن سے دوبارہ مل نہ سکی. وہ دل میں لے گئی حسرت مدینے آنے کی. مصیبتوں کے اندھیروں میں چل بسی بچی. ہمیں رہائی ملی ہے وہ آج بھی قیدی. بسا لیا ہے سکینہ نے قید خانے کو. نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو. نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو. گلی گلی میں پھرایا گیا غریبوں کو. قدم قدم پہ رلایا گیا غریبوں کو. بچھا کے کانٹے چلایا گیا غریبوں کو. تماش بینوں میں لایا گیا غریبوں کو. ثواب سمجھا گیا ہے ہمیں ستانے کو. نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو. نہ کر قبول مدینے ہمارے آنے کو. السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ. السلام علیکم ابن رسول اللہ. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام علیکم یا غریب الغرباء. السلام علیکم یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء. السلام علیکم یا شمس الشموس انیس النفوس غریبا شہیدا مدفونا بارض توس. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام علیکم یا مولا یا صاحب الاصل والزمان. السلام علیکم یا خلیفۃ الرحمن. السلام علیکم یا امام الانس والجان. اجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسار اللہ مخرجک وظہورک. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.
مومن و مومنات، ایک سورہ فاتحہ کی درخواست کی گئی ہے. محمد اکرم خان، شمیم اختر، شیخ شوکت علی، ممتاز فاطمہ شیخ، شیخ لیاقت علی اور کل مومن اور مومنات کے لیے. اور مومن و مومنات یہ بھی اعلان سماعت فرما لیجئے، اب آنے والی مجلس جو وہ ٹیوزڈے کو، کمنگ ٹیوزڈے کو بسلسلہ شہادت امام حسن عسکری علیہ السلام مجلس منعقد ہوگی. اور تمام مومن اور مومنات سے شرکت کی. اس مجلس سے مولانا زعیم صاحب ہمارے ریزیڈنس مولانا خطاب فرمائیں گے اور ٹائمنگ وہی ہے 8 بجے نماز ہے. اس کے فوراً بعد مجلس شروع کر دیا. کمنگ ٹیوزڈے کو آپ لوگ نوٹ کر لیجئے، مجلس منعقد ہوگی بسلسلہ شہادت امام حسن عسکری علیہ السلام. بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات. مومن و مومنات یہ اعلان پھر سماعت فرما لیجئے، کمنگ ٹیوزڈے کو بسلسلہ شہادت امام حسن عسکری اسلام مجلس اعضاء منعقد ہوگی، جس سے مولانا محسن کشمیری صاحب خطاب فرمائیں گے جو ٹیمپا سے تشریف لا رہے ہیں۔ تمام مومن و مومنات سے شرکت کی درخواست ہے۔ ٹائمنگ یہی ہے، 8 بجے نماز، اس کے فوراً بعد مجلس اعضاء ہے۔ اور یہ اعلان بھی آپ لوگ نوٹ کر لیں، جو مجلسوں کا سلسلہ جاری تھا، اس کی آج آخری مجلس تھی، اور اس کے بعد جو اب ٹیوزڈے کو مجلس منعقد ہوگی۔